You drop a letter in a blue box on the corner, you hear that little metallic clank as the door swings shut, and, well, you just walk away.
Right. You don't even think about it again.
Exactly. There's this immediate, almost invisible expectation that your letter is just going to magically appear across the country in, like, 3 days.
And it feels so simple to us on this side of the box.
It really does. But today, we are looking right past that blue mailbox. Welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to uncover the intense, complex, and honestly highly chaotic reality of what it actually takes to keep that promise.
Because, that blue box on the corner, that is really just the final polished consumer interface. What sits behind it is this massive, incredibly intricate machine powered entirely by human labor.
Right. And to understand that machine, we aren't looking at some polished corporate PR statement or, I don't know, a broad textbook.
No, we've got something much better.
We really do. We have a highly specific, very raw single document for you today. We are looking at the meeting minutes from April 16th, 2026 of the American Postal Workers Union, the APW Local 497 in Massachusetts.
Which is just a gold mine.
It is. Okay, so let's unpack this. Reading these minutes is kind of like finding the secret diary of a massive piece of machinery. You think you're just dropping off a letter, but this document proves that right behind your neighborhood post office is this intense web of human drama, rigid union rules, broken machinery, and, like, national logistics. It is all right here in these few pages.
It really is. And for you listening, it's worth understanding why this document actually matters to your everyday life.
Yeah, why should they care about a random meeting in Massachusetts?
Right. I mean, you might think a local union meeting on a Thursday night is a bit too far in the weeds, but these minutes are effectively the nervous system of the supply chain we all rely on.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, a local union meeting is the exact place where sweeping national policies collide with the gritty daily reality of the floor workers. It's a perfect microcosm.
So by examining this one evening in April, we uncover the labor struggles, the logistics, and really just the sheer human willpower required to move millions of pieces of mail every single day.
Exactly.
So let's zoom in first on that daily, almost microscopic reality of the workers on the floor. Reading through the report from the clerk craft director, Dave Bogach, you really start to get a feel for the characters in this world.
You absolutely do. He starts with some wins,
Oh,
right?
yeah, he thanks a worker named Zob for successfully handling 2 grievances and mentions Dan J is stepping up with lead clerk grievances.
So you get this real sense of grassroots momentum.
Totally. Just everyday people taking on extra responsibility. But then, right in the middle of this somewhat dry bureaucratic update, you hit a grievance about mouse feces.
A very specific, very tangible biological problem.
Right. And what's wild is that the grievance wasn't just about the fact that there were droppings in the facility, it was about the reaction to it.
That's always where the real story is.
Right. The workers tried to deal with a maintenance supervisor, a guy named Roger Parent, and according to the minutes, his response was handled poorly, and he was downright rude.
Wow.
Yeah, which just paints such a vivid picture of the floor dynamics. I mean, you have people trying to safely sort the mail, dealing with an actual biological hazard, and the supervisor basically just brushes them off with an attitude.
And see, that dynamic is a massive indicator of workplace health.
How so?
Well, when a localized safety concern like biological waste is met with rudeness rather than, immediate remediation, it signals a breakdown in the basic covenant of trust between management and labor.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In the union's view, this points to a total lack of DRA compliance.
DRAC.
Yeah, DRAC is basically the formal dispute resolution process they use to keep things civil and constructive.
Okay. So a structured way to handle disagreements.
Exactly. And when that process is ignored, you aren't just leaving a mess on the floor. You are setting a tone of antagonism that just infects everything else.
Which seems to be the undercurrent of the entire facility. Because the pressure doesn't just stop at sweeping up the floor.
No, it definitely doesn't.
When you read the report from the maintenance craft director, Enid Rivera, the stakes get much higher. She points out that new employees are showing up, but they aren't getting properly trained on the sorting machinery.
Right. And it's important to note, it's not because they don't want to learn.
No, exactly. It's because management refuses to give them the time to actually sit down and understand the equipment.
Which is incredibly dangerous. We have to remember the sheer scale of postal sorting machinery.
Yeah, we're not talking about a desktop printer here.
Exactly. We are talking about massive, high-speed industrial equipment. If you don't give a new maintenance worker the time to learn the specific safety checklist for that machine, You aren't just risking a mechanical breakdown, you are risking a catastrophic physical injury.
Wow. Yeah, we put it like that.
Right. Management rushing training to hit a daily quota is a classic symptom of a system running way too hot. And to bring this back to the listener, if a machine goes down because a worker wasn't given time to learn how to maintain it, that is the exact moment your prescription refill or your tax document ends up sitting in a plastic bin for an extra week.
That makes total sense. The pressure to move the mail faster is actively undermining their ability to move it safely.
Precisely.
And that pressure leads right into the biggest recurring fight in these minutes, something they call Article 1.6.
Oh yeah, Article 1.6 is everywhere in this document.
It really is. Enid brings it up, the safety director brings it up, the president brings it up. From what I gather, Article 1.6 is basically the rule that management cannot step in and do union craft work.
That's the gist of it, yes.
So managers aren't supposed to sweep floors, and they can't have their electronic technicians, their ETs doing IT work. But okay, here's where I need to play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay, go for it.
If a manager steps in to sweep a messy floor or, I don't know, fix a frozen computer, isn't that helpful?
It sounds like it should be.
Right. I keep picturing a restaurant manager jumping on the fry station when the kitchen is completely backed up. Isn't that just being a good team player? Why is the union actively fighting against help?
I know it is deeply counterintuitive from the outside, but you really have to look at the mechanics of how labor is allocated.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, to a customer or even a stressed manager, it absolutely looks like pitching in. But to the union, it is an existential threat. When a manager does craft work, they aren't just helping out. They are artificially masking the fact that the facility is chronically understaffed.
Masking it how?
They are actively dodging something called Line H requirements.
Line H requirements. What does that actually mean in practice?
So Line H dictates the exact number of custodial hours a facility needs based on its square footage and usage.
Oh, so it's like a strict mathematical formula.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a formula. So if a manager steps in to sweep the floor and handle the trash, they don't officially log a work order.
Oh, so if there's no work order, there's no paper trail.
Bingo.
The official data makes it look like the building is running perfectly fine on a skeleton crew.
Precisely. The data sent to the national level shows that the building needs fewer workers than it actually does. So the budget shrinks, the union loses bargaining power, and protected good-paying jobs just disappear.
Wow, okay.
So when the union grieves Article 1.6, they are trying to force management to expose the actual staffing deficit. They are saying, look, stop hiding the problem with free labor. Hire the people we mathematically need to run this building.
Okay, that completely reorients how I view these grievances. The local physical issues, like the rushed training or the manager sweeping up, they aren't isolated incidents.
No, not at all.
They are coping mechanisms for a massive labor shortage. And that reality seamlessly transitions us from the local floor right up to the national level.
Because it's all connected.
Exactly. Because when the local president, Ed Rowell, gives his report, he makes it crystal clear that this local squeeze is a symptom of a nationwide crisis.
Yeah, he really zooms out.
He notes that short staffing, reversions, which is when a vacant job is just eliminated entirely instead of filled and accessing, are happening all over the country.
And you can feel the anxiety. It is palpable even in a dry summary. Ed points out that the national president of the union, Jonathan Smith, is hosting national Zoom calls specifically to address this staffing crisis and the growing hostility on the floor.
So it's not just Massachusetts.
No, it's a coordinated alarm bell ringing across the entire postal network.
But the stress isn't just about being overworked. It's about not getting paid for the work they are actually doing.
Yes, the back pay issue.
It's a huge segment in the minutes. 7 local clerks in the associate offices didn't get their contractual increased back pay, which, again, might sound like a localized payroll glitch.
Until you see the national numbers.
Right. Until you read that over 2,000 employees nationally didn't get their money either. Joy Hawkins, a union representative, is quoted at the meeting saying, quote, "It is simple, yet it somehow still isn't getting done."
Just incredibly frustrating.
I mean, imagine working mandatory overtime, dealing with rush training and broken machines, and your legally contracted raise just vanishes into some administrative void.
It completely breaks the fundamental promise of working for the federal government. I mean, when an employer that large fails to execute a basic payroll function for thousands of workers, the floor workers don't just get annoyed.
No, they start to panic.
Exactly. They start to question the fundamental stability of the entire organization.
And you can see that fear of instability really taking root because Ed Rowell actually has to stand up and address financial rumors directly.
Right, the pension rumors.
Yeah, he tells the union, quote, "Don't panic, we are not going broke."
Huh.
He explicitly tells them that their FERS pensions, the Federal Employees Retirement System, are protected by law and that they will get their money.
He's trying to calm the room down.
He is. But, I mean, if I can be honest, if the leadership of my organization has to explicitly stand up at a meeting and tell me not to panic about whether my pension is evaporating,
Yeah.
that is a glaring sign that everyone in the room is absolutely panicking.
Oh, it's the ultimate tell. But you really have to ask why that panic exists in the first place.
Because it's more than just the back pay, right?
Exactly. This isn't just about missing a paycheck. The Postal Service's finances are uniquely tied to congressional action. Ed notes in the minutes that there are political reasons required to get the agenda done for increases, requiring congressional approval.
So they are at the mercy of Congress.
Yes. The floor workers hear the news. They hear politicians debating the solvency of the post office. So when a local clerk doesn't get their back pay, they don't think it's just a simple accounting error.
They think the money's actually gone.
Right. They think, wait, did Congress just defund us? Is my retirement gone? So Ed is doing intense damage control here. He's trying to build a firewall between the national political posturing they see on TV and the reality of their federally protected pensions.
That is just a phenomenal amount of pressure. I
Yes.
mean, you have a workforce that is understaffed, improperly trained, missing back pay, and worried about their retirement disappearing. It is a total pressure cooker.
It really is.
And when you squeeze a workforce that hard, that pressure doesn't just evaporate, it turns inward.
You start to see the cracks.
You do. You can actually see the unity breaking down as we look at the reports from the other divisions.
Yeah.
Mario Colucci, the Motor Vehicle Service Craft Director, gives a report that is just fraught with tension.
Very tense.
He mentions 6 abolished bids, meaning 6 jobs just completely disappeared. And then he talks about a labor management meeting that was, quote, chaos again with flood.
And then he drops that heavy line.
Yes. He actually puts it in the official minutes that, quote, the backstabbing must stop in regard to the union.
Having a phrase like, the backstabbing must stop, recorded in official meeting minutes is extraordinary.
Right. You don't usually put that in the public record.
Exactly. It tells you that the stress has bypassed management and is cannibalizing the team. When resources are scarce and people are exhausted, self-preservation kicks in and solidarity starts to fray.
And Ed had to step in again, right?
Yes, Ed actually had to step in and add a note about how they need to get the union stronger and not divided, suggesting they schedule a special meeting just for the motor vehicle employees to cool things down.
Just to do some internal mediation.
Pretty much.
And while the workers are fighting each other, the physical building around them is literally deteriorating.
Oh, the cooling towers.
Yes. Jesus Rivera, the Safety and Health Director, gives this incredibly tense update on the cooling towers. Management basically bypassed the local workers and hired a New York company to clean the chillers.
Which the union obviously didn't like.
No. And Jesus is essentially threatening to call OSHA, the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration, if management doesn't follow strict safety protocols.
Which is a massive escalation.
It is. And on top of that, he notes that Job's safety analyses have been delayed by someone named Peabody since 2023. They are threatening to file grievances over safety rules that have been ignored for 3 years.
Which is terrifying when you understand what a job safety analysis is.
Break that down for us.
It's the fundamental blueprint for how a worker interacts with a dangerous task without getting hurt. If those blueprints haven't been updated since 2023, the union is basically flying blind on safety.
Wow.
Yeah. They are operating massive machinery based on outdated hazard data. So you have Jesus Rivera fighting this intense, hyper-local physical battle over cooling towers and clipboard audits.
But then, and this is what's so wild, literally in the next breath, the scale of the meeting shifts so dramatically it gives you whiplash.
The legislative update.
Yes, we pivot straight from local cooling towers to the legislative report. Ed brings up the Save America Act. The minutes note that voting by mail is under attack and state that the union's official stance is that they want the ability to vote by mail protected. They declare it is very important.
And just to be completely clear for you listening, we are strictly looking at what the union itself is focused on in this document.
Yes, exactly. Keeping the actual politics of that entirely to the side, we are not taking any sides here. But this shift in scope is just fascinating to me. How does a local union manage to fight a two-front war like this?
It's a lot to balance.
Right. We have them threatening federal safety inspectors over local chillers in one paragraph, and then tackling national democracy and the logistics of mail-in voting in the exact next breath.
It really perfectly encapsulates the duality of a postal union's role today. They are forced to hold the microscopic and the macroscopic in their heads at the exact same time.
The chillers and the elections.
Exactly. On one hand, their fundamental mandate is to ensure the physical chiller on the roof isn't venting toxic gas on their members.
Very microscopic.
Right. But on the other hand, because they are the literal physical mechanism by which mail-in voting happens in this country, they view the integrity and legality of that national process as their direct occupational mandate.
So they don't see it as a two-front war at all.
No, to an outsider, it looks like a two-front war. But to them, protecting the physical safety of the worker and protecting the sheer volume and integrity of the mail are inextricably linked. It is the exact same war.
Wow. That is an unbelievable amount of responsibility to put on the shoulders of local officers in Massachusetts on a random Thursday night.
It really is.
Which brings us to perhaps the most surprising part of these minutes, how they actually cope with all of this.
Yeah.
Because you pivot from these heavy existential stakes. I mean, OSHA threats, national elections, disappearing pensions, internal backstabbing.
Very heavy stuff.
Very heavy. But then you pivot straight into the highly regulated, strangely endearing bureaucratic mechanics of how the union actually operates.
Ah, the parliamentary procedure.
Yes.
It's really the skeleton that holds the whole operation together.
Exactly. The bureaucracy is staggering,
Right.
but they follow it meticulously. Like, you see multiple mentions of this strict financial threshold. Any spending over $750 must be physically posted on the union boards and the union office door for a specific amount of time before the membership can even vote on it.
They don't mess around with the funds.
They really don't. They follow this rule perfectly when they propose a $2,000 donation to the host of the New England States Convention in Portland, Maine.
And they apply that same rigid transparency to their own internal travel and organizing, too.
Oh, the convention delegates.
Right. During the meeting, Enid brings up the national convention happening in Los Angeles in August 2026. She makes a formal motion to send Rhonda, the maintenance steward, to the BMC conference for an extra 3 days.
Okay.
And then Dave Bogach makes another motion to send up to 4 additional delegates, the president, craft directors, the research and education director. But because sending 5 people to Los Angeles obviously exceeds that $750 limit, they can't just approve it in the room. They have to post it on all the bulletin boards and wait for the next meeting to formally vote.
It's just so methodical. And this adherence to the rules doesn't stop at the big ticket items either.
When you look under the good of the organization section at the very end of the minutes, you get these wonderfully human administrative moments.
It's my favorite part of the document.
It's so good. Carol thanks Ed for putting up the new flag, but make sure to get on the official record that the light illuminating the flag is burnt out and needs replacing.
Gotta get it on the record.
Exactly. Then they pass a formal motion citing Article 6, Section 20 of their Constitution and bylaws, just to officially excuse an officer named Stu Kibbe from being absent that night.
For one absence.
Right. Then Carol gives a report assuring everyone they have good, quote, fiduciary responsibilities. And to cap the entire night off, Rhonda Wynn, who is acting as secretary and literally typing these minutes, records that she won the meeting's door prize and thanked the membership.
It really paints a picture of the room, doesn't it?
It's fascinating. It feels like such a wild juxtaposition to me. It's like watching a massive corporate board meeting, but it is run entirely on grassroots democracy.
It's a very unique environment.
I mean, you have a multi-million-dollar national labor negotiation happening in the background, a severe staffing crisis, and literal safety threats. But they still have to pause, pull out the rule book to excuse Stu Kibbe, note the burnt-out light bulb on the flag, and cheer for Rhonda winning a door prize. It feels almost absurd given the high stakes.
I get why you'd say that. It might feel absurd or like a juxtaposition, but those mundane administrative tasks, they are actually the currency of trust.
The currency of trust.
Yes, because when the stakes are as high as your pension or your physical safety or the survival of your job, trust is the only currency you have left.
Wow, okay.
Think about it. How do you build trust in a room full of exhausted, stressed out people?
Right, especially when they are already starting to turn on each other.
Exactly. You build it by proving, month after month, that you won't spend a single dollar over $750 without telling everyone.
Oh, yeah.
You build it by making sure the flag light is fixed when someone points it out. You build it with a simple door prize that brings a tiny, much-needed moment of levity to a grueling shift.
That makes so much sense.
Those small, rigid acts of democracy and community care are the psychological glue that keeps the membership from completely turning on each other during the chaos that, Mario Colucci described earlier.
Wow. So the bureaucracy isn't getting in the way of the union's mission. The bureaucracy actually is the union's mission.
Perfectly said.
It's the daily, undeniable proof that they are in it together.
Exactly. It's the framework that allows everyday workers to stand toe-to-toe with a massive federal agency without just falling apart.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I think we've definitely accomplished our mission today. We traveled from the gritty reality of local grievances over mouse feces and missing back pay through the massive anxieties of national staffing shortages and congressional funding.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. We saw the pressure boil over into internal backstabbing, watched them navigate OSHA threats and national convention strategies, and finally ended with the quiet triumph of the meeting's door prize. It is a massive, sprawling spectrum of human experience packed into just a few pages of meeting minutes.
It really changes how you look at the mail.
It does. The next time you receive a piece of mail, I hope you look at that envelope and picture the intense, democratic, deeply human machinery of Local 497, and honestly, thousands of locals just like it, that fought to make sure it got to your door.
And as we close, I want to leave you listening with one final thought to mull over.
Oh, definitely.
It's something that wasn't explicitly debated in these minutes, but it haunts the margins of everything we discussed today. The concept of institutional memory.
Institutional memory. Okay, where do you see that playing out?
Well, think back to Enid Rivera's warning near the very beginning of the meeting. She pointed out that new employees are not being given the time to learn the complex sorting machinery.
Right, they were rushing the training.
Yes. Now, look at the roster of officers running this meeting. Ed, Dave, Enid, Carol. These are seasoned veterans navigating incredibly complex labor laws, safety regulations, and strict parliamentary procedure.
They know the system inside and out.
Exactly. They hold the institutional memory of both the physical post office and the union itself. So if the management system is rushing training for the new hires and the union is exhausted from fighting daily fires,
Oh, I see where you're going.
what happens to our national logistics network when these veteran leaders finally retire?
Wow.
If the complex, hidden machinery of this workplace, both the mechanical gears and the democratic roles, isn't passed down properly to the next generation, how will the physical infrastructure of our daily communications survive the next decade?
Man, that is a heavy question. And it completely changes how you look at that blue mailbox on the corner.
It's much more than just a box.
It really is. It's not just a piece of metal. It's a monument to the invisible people working behind it. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.